Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. This is part 2 of the fans' favourites. I've asked a number of Tottenham fans to give me their favourite ever player, favourite ever manager and favourite ever Tottenham moment. And mine was done yesterday on part 1. I chose Jurgen Klinsmann as my favourite player, Mauricio Pochettino as my favourite ever manager, and the Ajax game last year in the Champions League is my favourite ever Spurs moment, and of course going into a Champions League final with my son and my dad. So there were 3 generations of Tottenham fans at a Champions League final, which I never ever thought would happen. Anyway, please do let me know all of yours in the comments section below. So it's favourite ever Tottenham player, favourite ever manager and favourite ever moment while supporting Spurs. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come on you Spurs.
So my favourite player, okay, so growing up, I'm going to say Jermaine Defoe. He was the first player on the back of my shirt, his little bursting runs that he used to do, him, Keane and Berbatov up front. And he was probably like the first player that captured my interest in Tottenham. So yeah, I'm going to go Jermaine Defoe. And then current player has to be Sonny. His enthusiasm, his love for playing for Tottenham Hotspur it's just a pleasure to watch him. And that goal against Burnley, it doesn't get much better than that. So favourite manager, I'm going to have to say Poch. I still miss him every day. But what he did for Tottenham Hotspur in the 5-6 years that he was there was just fantastic. Like the training ground, the facilities that we now have. Every weekend you were tuning in and watching exciting football, and even if you were a neutral, you wanted to watch Tottenham Hotspur on the weekend because you knew that you were getting exciting football. And like, you know, we were either going to win like 4-0 or like it was going to be like one of the tightest games, you know. So it was always, you were always tuning in for fantastic football. And I think with Poch, that's what we miss. And he also got us to the point of a Champions League final, which I never thought I'd see. So yeah, I'm going to say Pochettino. And then also my favourite moment, just alluded to it, but Ajax away. That hat-trick from Lucas Moura. It doesn't get much better than that. When that third goal went in, just couldn't believe it. Like, it's still unfathomable that happened. So yeah, it has to be Ajax away. Just Mauricio's tears, like, all the players stood in front of the crowd. Like, I wasn't there, I was just at home, but seeing all that on social media, oh, it was just amazing. And obviously the final wasn't ideal, but yeah, I'm gonna have to say Ajax away. And also that City game, that City quarter-final was also at the Etihad, unbelievable. So yeah, they're my favourite moments as a Tottenham fan.
Hello everyone, Jace from South Dorset Spurs. Hope everyone's keeping well. Thanks to Chris for sending a few questions through. Obviously Spurs related. Normally on the Saturday be in the minibus hurtling up to London, having a few drinks at the Fleet services before going on to the Gilpin LTs and then the match. But instead, I'm in my back garden. So today I've got a few questions to answer. First one is who's my favourite Spurs player? I think in recent history you can look at sort of Gareth Bale, Rafa van der Vaart and of course Harry Kane, who've been absolutely phenomenal. I think Rafa van der Vaart really got it. The love for that guy, especially when he shushed Arsenal, put him in Tottenham folklore. And Gareth Bale, of course, it's just such a shame that he had to leave us so early in his career to go on to Madrid. What we could achieve with him, who knows? But for me, my hero was shaped as a youngster. It's quite easy for me to say Ricky Villa. Because he sealed the deal when he scored that goal against Man City, for me being a Spurs fan. But it has to be Glenn Hoddle. The style, finesse, grace of the man on the ball, without doubt one of our most talented players. Certainly in my era, my only regret is I never got to see him live. I didn't get to a game until 89 onwards. So for me, Glenn Hoddle. Who's my favourite manager? Well, I think we'll all agree we had a real connection with Mauricio Pochettino. He took us to places we couldn't have imagined. That Champions League final, And had he been given more time, I don't doubt that over the next couple of years we would have achieved a lot more. But it wasn't to be. It's been quite a torrid year, and now we've got Jose. Let's see who we go with that. But for me, my favourite manager, and I've met him a few times, is Keith Burkinshaw. Those trophies in the early 80s, and as I say, he's as honest as he was then as he is now. Yeah, absolutely fantastic guy, a fantastic Spurs manager. And the final question was, what's my favourite Spurs moment? It has to be the Champions League semi-final against Ajax, when Lucas Moura scored his hat-trick in that goal at the last minute. The celebrations in our little pub in the Royal Oak in Weymouth will live long in the memory. And it's just a shame again I couldn't see that live, but for me, that, you know, you watch it back over and over again, and it just warms your heart. Especially in these times. So for me, that's my favourite moment. It goes without saying, to everybody, keep safe, keep well, up the Spurs.
I think if I had to name one player in all my time at Tottenham as a favourite, I mean, you know, I love watching Sonny now, but probably if I had to name one, it would be Glenn. Glenn was in the side when I first started to go to Tottenham. 77-78 season was my first real season of going regularly. Glenn was an absolute superstar even then. That was what, 2 or 3 years before his England debut even. But Glenn just, I don't think Tottenham or England for that matter have ever produced a more technically gifted player in my time. Pure poetry watching him. The range of passing, long and short. The weight of pass, the backspin that he could put on a pass. You know, strikers never needed a first touch. He just had to hit it first time. And his long range shooting, his ability with set pieces, just everything about Glenn was superstar. And he's still just a pleasure to listen to him on the TV today. He talks so intelligently about the game. So, you know, for me, Glenn would probably have been my all-time favourite. I think as a manager, as I say, my first season being the Division 2 season and being there in that period of the early 80s. So Keith Burkinshaw, in my time, definitely the best manager. Keith was such an honest person. Again, a person that never made excuses, didn't do any of the trash talking you get of current managers, didn't moan about referees and didn't do all the gamesmanship. Keith was just, the game is about football and let's go and do it. And so to see us win the trophies that we did under Keith was a pleasure. But the forgotten manager in our time, I think, never gets the credit he deserves. Everybody talks about Bill, and rightly so. You know, Bill's the most important person, I suppose. But Arthur Rowe won us the second division, took us into the first division, won the first division immediately the following season. It was Arthur that brought Bill to the football club. It was Arthur that got us playing the famous push and run football. And I think Arthur never quite gets the credit he deserves amongst Tottenham itself, and definitely in amongst the fans. I think my favourite moment as a Spurs fan, I just have to wind the clock back a few months ago really to waking up Champions League morning. That feeling of pride on the day, the whole day wearing your shirt across London. I wasn't lucky enough to be in Madrid, but the party atmosphere in the Antwerp Arms, the gorgeous weather we had, and then leaving the Antwerp Arms to go to the stadium, and you turn to the corner into High Road. I don't think I've seen High Road like that ever. I certainly don't remember seeing it like that. And just that feeling of, wow, Champions League finalists. Shame about the result.
Hey Chris, it's Melvin from Malta. I've decided to choose slightly different answers than I think people will choose. You know, your Pochettinos and your Hurricanes and Heung-min Son. And I'm not old enough to been in the Glenn Hoddle era and the Gascoigne era. So I'm going to choose Harry Redknapp as my favourite manager coach. I think the guy did an amazing job at Spurs, and he took us to whole new levels in the Champions League. It's a shame that he didn't win a trophy with us, but I think Harry Redknapp was an amazing manager. He set up the team really, really well. We had really, really great moments, and also moments where we win in the Champions League and then we'd lose to Blackpool the following week, and he'll just come on and say, oh, it's been one of those weeks, and you'll just accept it because he had that kind of character and charisma that Harry just be like, what are you gonna do? and as a Spurs fan, we would accept it because of Harry. But yeah, Harry was my favorite manager for a long time. I was devastated when he got sacked, but that's Tottenham. We move on. My favorite player is also in that era, and it's Lennon. I think the guy had speed. He used to make defenders look silly. He scored some really amazing goals for us against Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea. I used to love the guy. He came with us at a really young age, and he just kept getting better and better and better. The guy's still playing whenever we see him. It's always good to see him. I wish him the best of luck, and that's my favorite player. My favorite moment is also in that era. It came against AC Milan when Lennon squared it to Peter Crouch, and we scored at the San Siro, and we ended up eliminating AC Milan. And that was the first time as a Spurs fan where I felt that Tottenham are going forward as a club, and the rest is history. Eventually, we moved on from that manager and to AVB, and eventually to Pochettino, and we just kept growing and growing as a club. But that was the first time I really felt that Tottenham were there. We're getting better, and we're making our presence in Europe, and eventually to now. Thank you.
Thanks to all the Tottenham fans who took part in part 1 and part 2. Please do let me know all of your thoughts and comments and memories in the comment section below. I'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Spurs.